40 to 45% as well. For the OS zoning, and again, this is for your stormwater management block, the request is to reduce the required minimum frontage from 20 meters to 10 meters. Getting back to lot 61, the reason that a reduction is being requested about 23 meters is, if you look at lot 61, it has two different depths. So when we calculate depths in this situation, we look at the average depth, and that comes out in this case to be 23. So while it is reduced by 7 meters from what's required, we would note that it is significantly wider than what's required as well. And at 617 square meters, it is quite a bit larger than what is required as well in terms of minimum lot size. In terms of comments that have been received, the GRCA, Enbridge, Canada Post, Hydro One, and Bell Canada have provided us with their standard conditions that we would include in a draft plan of subdivision. County Public Works has also provided their standard conditions as well. And no formal complaints or comments have been filed by the public at the time of this report being completed. In staff's opinion, the proposal does follow the direction of the provincial policy statement, or now known as the provincial planning statement. This is a serviced settlement, and this is an efficient use of both available land within a service settlement and also the available servicing options as well. In terms of the official plan, again, we do believe that this meets the intent of the official plan, as it is located in an area that is easily accessible to shopping areas, mainly downtown, schools, amenity spaces. We believe that the location is sufficient. And in terms of the density, it's coming in at a density of 20.7 units per hectare, where up to 22 units per hectare is permitted. And then just going back to the zoning tables that it did show you, again, there are a number of special provisions that are being proposed. Staff have reviewed each one, and we do feel that what is being proposed is reasonable in this circumstance. And so we are here in support of in support of the zone change application for approval in principle, and also recommending that council let County Council know that it supports both the official plan amendment and the draft plan of subdivision that's being considered here tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions from council regarding the staff report? Seeing any right now? Okay. Councillor Banbury.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, generally speaking, each house will be a little larger than it would have been ordinarily with the previous plan, or will the houses be close to the same size?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Banbury. In terms of the house side, I wouldn't be able to answer that. I don't know what kind of models they're looking at. However, what I can say is the lots themselves, they're going to be smaller than what was originally approved in 2012. So it is possible that the houses would be smaller as well.
Well, they have to meet a certain lot coverage, or meet it, but can't exceed it.
Yeah, so they're asking for a maximum lot coverage of 45%. So they would be able to cover up to 45% of the lot with just the house, or if they're also going to have accessory buildings, that would come into play as well.
Anybody else from council? Does the applicant or agent wish to speak regarding this application? Nope. Okay. So I'm going to ask now if anybody wants to speak, and if you can come up to the stand here and say your name on record, then that would be great. Okay. Are there any interested parties in attendance who wish to speak to this application? Yep. If you want to come up to the stand, please, and state your name.
My name is Susan Mitchell. There's a couple points with this. On Fennel currently, there are parking all down the street. There's parking on the boulevard. There's no ticketing done. To move in that many houses now in the new subdivision, we're all part of the place.
So I don't have the what they're going to be. Maybe if I can ask the, yeah, if you, yeah.
You're going to have to run the correctly.
Yeah.
They do currently on Fennel as well.
Okay, so the typical stuff is this, you know, there's a single car driveway, could be double driveway, I'm not sure what this one is.
They do on Fennel as well.
So, I'm not sure what the off-street parking allowed, and if that's right.
Not in the wintertime, and I know they have been ticketed on Fennel.
But,
That I know for sure.
There'll be garages, so people will be able to have their car in the front property.
Nobody uses the garage for their cars.
Yeah. Okay, if we can just, when you want to speak, come to the mic, if that makes it easier, everybody's not talking over
So the
everybody.
other thing too is that if you have a community, so I take it that the interest for the township is for a tax base. There's no grocery store, there's no reason to, as a homeowner, to keep your home going into retirement. There's no way to facilitate your life. There's no garage, there's garage. There's no gas station, there's no grocery store, there's a Verizon store. So where is the focus here? Is the focus just to increase taxes and continue on? We have an incredible LED fire department light that lights up my house in the middle of the night, that I think is like Kenny Rogers roasters from Seinfeld. So what is the end result here?
So as far as the taxes, that's not the reason for any of this. So right now, if you hear all the time, I think the housing crisis is maybe let off a little bit, but that's the whole purpose behind that, is for places for people to move and live in their communities.
But we can't
And-
substantiate it. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
We can't substantiate ourselves in the community. If you want to go to the grocery store, you have to go to New Hamburg. You don't have a walking distance to go to the grocery store.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that, but when it comes to, so they have the commercial piece there, which I will speak to them a little bit about before they know my stance on it. But I look at our town as well here. I live in Drumble. We have the same thing. The subdivisions come in, and hopefully as more people move in, hopefully some of those amenities move in. But to have a grocery store, if it's not feasible for somebody to put it in there, if there's not enough people to put it there, we had one here for years, but it wasn't feasible because you didn't have enough people to use it. And I know personally for me, a lot of people now are one-stop shopping. So a lot of people are going to the city to do the one-stop and the big box stores, unfortunately. But I can't push somebody to put a supermarket in there. Would I like to see one there? Absolutely. But that's kind of irrelevant to this proposal that's brought forward.
So it just seems to me that we're doing things a little backwards here, because if there's not the amenities to keep the people, then you're looking for a bedroom community, and you're looking for higher taxes, and you're looking for not to the benefit of the people that live there. I think you're doing this and you're looking at the bottom line, you're looking at the revenue it's going to create, you're looking at how you can increase your budgets. And it's not to the benefit of Black Hill at all.
Well,
If you look through, even if you just go back to the parking, if you go down Fennel Street, there's people on boulevards parking, there's people all down the street parking. You're hard pressed to get a fire truck down there.
Yep.
How are you going to do it based on this, with this new plan?
well, hopefully the plan is that they're allowed to park in their laneway. I get it. I know exactly people are going to park on the street. I don't disagree with that at all. They are going to do that. In the wintertime, that's up to us as bylaw to ticket them, which we have done on Fennel. People have been ticketed on Fennel.
People parking on the boulevards, I think?
I believe so, because if you can't get through, because when they're parking on that boulevard, they're halfway over the sidewalk. So I know they have been ticketed for sure. That absolutely has happened. Believe me, I've had people call me because they got a ticket. So,
And is the intent of, when you're proposing something like this, because this has been proposed, I've been to many of these meetings over the course of the last 13 years for this particular property.
yep.
And every time it changes, and every time you say, oh no, don't worry, but every time you come back for something more. The property's sold again, a new plan is put in place. I'm pretty sure in 5 years from now, it's going to be high rises that are going to be put in there.
Not if this is approved, this is what it is. Once those lots are registered,
Sorry, I heard that before.
well, I'm sorry, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's my piece.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else would like to come up and speak at the mic? Not seeing anybody? Okay. I think you've already replied to issues raised. Are there any members of council that have any questions or require any further information or clarification? Councillor Young.
Yeah, I do have a question for the developer. I wasn't sitting here, I haven't been sitting here for the past 13 years, and I understand you also have not been the owner of this. Yeah?
I'm not the owner.
Oh, okay. Okay, okay. Perfect.
So I'm just going to intervene. Are you going to ask them a question?
Yeah.
If I could get one of yous or both of yous maybe to come up the stand, that way, if anybody's watching, they can hear you and see you on the mic. Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks. So I too am kind of just coming along because I haven't been sitting through all of the changes and the 13 years of this property. But I know that some of the concerns in the community are that we have homes that are built and not sold, and lots that are going unsold, and subdivisions that aren't complete. And that's not your concern, and I know that. But part of me wonders if that's lack of affordability or if that's lack of amenities. Like, are people not coming because we don't have the services and supports that they need within our community? And so with all of that, I kind of think, I look at this plan and I see the commercial size has been reduced a number of times. And so my question is about that space of that commercial use, and if there was a reason or what that reason is for reducing the size, if it's only based on a financial perspective or something else. And my second part of that is, are there intentions for that space of what may come or what that goal is?
It should be on.
Oh, it is on? Okay. So for the commercial area, I believe the main reduction came after it changed hands. So I'm not sure what the decision was by the previous owners to have it so large, but this is the preference of the current owners to have it at the size that it is. Once the lots are registered, then they'll start discussions with potential tenants once there's actually a lot to discuss. And so there's been a little bit of interest, but there's no certain tenants to go there yet. I know that there's been a little bit of discussion of maybe gas station or something like that, but nothing definitive yet.
Perfect, thanks.
Any other questions from council at all? No? I know I kind of spoke to you before. I am a little disappointed that the commercial side of it is reduced in size. I know when going through Plattsville campaigning and going door to door, I would probably say there was two things that stuck out the most that the residents of Plattsville wanted. One was I call it a seniors complex, because they wanted to stay in their own town and not have to move away to the big city. So that was the main one. It's there now. The second one definitely was right there, was a gas station. So I know I can't tell you what to put there, but I'm pretty sure most of the residents here in Plattsville would agree. They'd like to see a gas station there. It was already mentioned once. That is a preference for myself as well. There's other things that could go in there as well, but I know once you get past here, there's nothing to probably New Hamburg, Air, or Kitchener for gas. There's nothing on this side at all. So that is just something I would like to see in that area.
Okay, yeah, that will definitely be communicated to the developer.
Okay. Anything else from council? Councillor Demers.
Yeah, just want to reiterate the need for shovel-ready commercial and CI in our township in general, but specifically in this application. It's something that we really need. And, you know, it was brought up earlier, there's a little bit of a chicken and egg here, right? You know, businesses are going to set up, but there's not a good base population, and vice versa. So, you know, there's a little bit of speculation on the part of developers. The other thing I wanted to, you know, I don't need to beat this parking thing to death, but the reality is it is a problem in all of our small rural communities because there's been so much pressure to intensify building in our towns. As the engineer, what kind of creative solutions are other rural townships coming up with in order to alleviate this problem? I understand that you know, there's garages in all these units and there's space for one car, but the reality is that people have guests over, people have family. With ARUs now, sometimes we have, you know, multiple families living in some of these units, and it causes a parking problem. Sorry, it does. So, any suggestions, like in terms of creative solutions that engineers have?
I-
Sidewalks involved in this?
Sorry, you have to wait till it's your turn to speak, and then I'll let you come up, okay?
I'm a planner, not a traffic engineer, so I'm not sure if I have a very good answer to the second part of your question. To the first comment about the commercial area, though, I'll say that kind of informed, the chicken and the egg situation kind of informed how phase one was determined, with a large portion of the residential being developed in tandem with the commercial area. So that understanding that people are eager about the commercial area, that was put into the first phase to hopefully address that. In terms of the parking, I'm not sure I have a great answer for that right now.
I'll ask the question for you. There is sidewalks, I believe, on one side through the subdivision, through the whole thing. That's one big mistake. That was actually my very first time that I ran for council. I remember walking up through Fennel, and there's no sidewalks. I'm seeing kids on the street and everything else. I'm thinking, why is there no sidewalks? So that is something that's been brought in here now, that in our subdivisions, there has to be a sidewalk at least on one side of the subdivision. Hopefully that answers your question.
Sorry, so why allow it then? So if the answer is to allow the larger lots instead of using it smaller, it's a fixed issue.
If I can get you to come up the stand that way, because people can't hear you that may be listening at home. If you could please do that.
So my issue here is, let me put my business voice on for you, that if you are unaware of the parking, and we live in a community where the parking is an issue, then why don't we disallow the smaller lots? Isn't that the answer?
Do you want to answer, or do you want me to try and stab at that?
Yeah, you just said that you were not an authority on parking or lots, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So the provincial policy has changed. So since I have been here, and so has Bruce, I've been here since this started, and it's, I don't know, 4 or 5 different people have presented here over the years. So back when this first started, the provincial policy didn't have what it is today. The province is mandated now that they want more. Simple as that. I'll be honest with you, if council right now said, nope, you're going to put 25 lots in there, not your 100 and whatever it is, they will go to the tribunal, and I guarantee you, as much as I'm sitting here, they'll win, and we will have to pay all the legal fees to say you're going to put 115 in there, because the provincial policy has changed.
13 years ago when this meeting started.
Yep.
That wasn't proposed to us then.
No.
So 13 years ago, it wasn't proposed that you're going to have legal action against the builder or the representatives of the builder. So we weren't given all of the information. Now to say, oh, by the way, we could change our policies as well as you could in the next 10, 15 years.
And it probably will. I would not be shocked. For a while there, it was like, I don't know how developers would even keep up, because it was changing monthly, weekly,
And
the numbers were.
Actually, the owner of the property has changed hands 4 times, 3 times?
Maybe even more, maybe. Is it 3 or 4 for sure, at least since I've been here? But see, nothing has been, even though those were proposed, nothing has been approved. So none of those lots were set in stone to say, this is what we're actually doing.
I think you're misinformed there. I think it was set. Several plans went through. Who are you looking at?
Okay, sorry. But the timeline for them to get it done never went through. Maybe I'll let Dustin.
So just to clarify, yes, plans have been approved.
Yeah,
It was never registered.
that's what I meant, sorry.
So they were
But they were
approved.
approved.
They were approved.
Yeah.
They just haven't been registered.
So I'm
Yeah.
not totally speaking out of my...
No, no. So anyway, that's where we're at today. Unfortunately, what was 13 years ago has changed today.
So because the mandate is that the province is saying smaller locations, do you have to abide by the mandate? Or, so how can you have huge subdivisions with huge lots? How are they getting through?
Some of the ones, though, if you're thinking in Bright, I don't know if that's the one you're using, it's because of the septic system. You have to have a maximum 3, I think it's,
Incredibly hard water, I don't know if
Yeah.
you've been to Plattsburgh.
yes, I know the water situation, absolutely.
Groundwater continually.
Yeah, I know that situation for sure. So when you compare Bright to there, it's because of the septic system part of it. You have to have, I think it's a minimum 3/4 of an acre per lot. So that's the difference between those two. What the nice part about this is I like the diversification of it. So there's different styles of homes that are going into that area. It makes it, hopefully some of the ones are cheaper for some of the people to stay there. That's what I'm hoping coming forward. But the way this is, yeah. Thank you. Okay, anybody else wish to come up and speak? Yeah, you can come up to them and just present your name, please.
About the sewers. I was informed, I have 2 lots. And I was informed that I couldn't sell my lot because there wasn't sufficient sewer capacity for an infill lot. All of a sudden, we've got all of this. I lived in Plattsville when the new subdivision was built. And the builder did a great job putting storm sewers in there. That overloaded the original storm sewer system, and the people that lived in the old village, I had to pay over $15,000 to upgrade the storm sewer in my house area. And that only happened because of that subdivision. Now, if this is approved, are they gonna have to improve the sewer system? And am I gonna have to pay for that, or is this developer gonna pay for that?
So, yes, can we get your name just for,
Yeah, Walter Malloy.
yeah. So when it comes to, first of all, this wouldn't even be brought forward to us if there wasn't capacity there.
Well, then why
Pass.
was I informed a couple of years ago that I couldn't even sell an infill lot because there was no,
Yeah, that I don't know. I don't know. I don't know your situation, but right now we're just speaking about this subdivision here on our,
so they're saying that there's all kinds of sewer capacity because that's not what we have been told in Plattsville.
I've never heard,
I understand that if there's any more development, they have to go to a full sewage treatment facility instead of the lagoons that are there now.
I think from what I understand, so this one has always been on the books, now not this number of lots, but I'm presuming this would not be sitting in front of me, and Dustin, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this would not be here at council if there wasn't sufficient capacity in Plattsville for this.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. County Public Works has reviewed the application, and they have indicated, based on their readings, that there is sufficient capacity for wastewater and water for this application, which is why they're recommending approval at this time. So if you want to have a discussion about your potential severance and...
I don't want, I never want to sever my lots, but I was told that.
Yeah, and we can certainly have that conversation after this meeting is outside.
Okay. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak? Okay. All right, any other questions for engineer? Nope. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This application will be dealt with by council at its regular meeting immediately following this public meeting, and I will now officially close this public meeting.
Be it hereby resolved that the public meeting be adjourned and that the regular meeting of council reconvene.
Okay, can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Banbury, second by Councillor Young. All in favor? And opposed, if any? And that's carried.
Be it hereby resolved that the Council of the Township of Blandford-Blenheim approve the zone change application submitted by Dale and Dana Ribling, whereby lands described as South Half Lot 8, Concession 13, Blandford, in the Township of Blandford-Blenheim are to be rezoned from General Agricultural Zone A2 to Special General Agricultural Zone A2 SP to permit a detached additional residential unit on the subject lands with a maximum distance between an ARU and a principal dwelling of 63 meters or 206.6 feet.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Banbury. Any comments? All in favor? And opposed, if any? And that's carried. Okay, and the next.
Be it hereby resolved that the Council of the Township of Blandford-Blenheim approve in principle the zone change application file number ZN1-2207 submitted by Westside Communities Plattsville Incorporated, whereby a portion of the lands described as Part Lot 17, Concession 12, Blenheim, part of Louisa Street, also known as Platt Street, Plan 116, closed bylaw as in CO 252471, Parts 1, 2, and 3, Plan 41R 1055-1, Township of Blandford-Blenheim, are to be rezoned from Residential Type 1 Zone R1, Highway Commercial Zone HC, Special Highway Commercial Zone HC4, and Open Space Zone OS, to Special Residential Type 1 Zone R1 SP, Special Residential Type 2 Zone R2 SP, Highway Commercial Zone HC, Special Development Zone DSP, and Special Open Space Zone OSSP to facilitate the proposed draft plan of subdivision, and that the Council of Township of Blandford-Blenheim advise County Council that the Township supports the application for official plan amendment, file number OP 2218-1, submitted by Westside Communities Plattsville Incorporated, for the lands described as Part Lot 17, Concession 12, Blenheim, part of Louisa Street, also known as Platt Street, Plan 116, closed bylaw as in CO 252471, Parts 1, 2, and 3, Plan 41R 1055-1, Township of Blandford-Blenheim, to reconfigure the existing low-density residential, service commercial, and open space designations to facilitate the proposed draft plan of subdivision, and further, that the Council of the Township of Blandford-Blenheim advise Oxford County Council that the Township supports the draft plan of subdivision, file number SV 22061, submitted by Westside Communities Plattsville Incorporated for the lands described as Part Lot 17, Concession 12, Blenheim, part of Louisa Street, also known as Platt Street, Plan 116, closed bylaw as in CO 252471, Parts 1, 2, and 3, Plan 41R 1055-1, Township of Blandford-Blenheim, consisting of 99 lots for single detached dwellings, 16 lots for semi-detached dwellings, a block for commercial purposes, a block for stormwater management purposes, a block for a walkway, 2 blocks for servicing purposes, 1 block for future development, and the construction of a new internal road connecting Hofstetter Road and Plattsville Street South, subject to the conditions outlined in Report CP 2025-203 being met prior to final approval of the plan for registration.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder for that, please? Moved by Councillor Banbury, second by Councillor Young. Any comments? Councillor Demers.
These kind of proposals have come to us several times over the last few years. And I guess my only comment is that I think it's unfortunate and sad that this council at this level can't influence or has very little influence over what gets built in our community. I'd like to be able to make decisions that are reflective of what our constituents want, but because our hands are tied, we don't have that flexibility.
Anybody else? Councillor Banbury.
Yes, to you, Mr. Mayor, I agree with what Councillor Demers just said. this here parking situation, it's a problem all over the place. It doesn't matter whether you go to any subdivision in Woodstock, Paris, Brantford, anywhere. Parking is a problem. I don't know what to do. You know, it would be nice maybe to, let's build high-rises. We'll put underground parking under the high-rises and saves agricultural land, provides parking, and everybody's good to go. Kind of along the line of building a tunnel under 401, I guess, but it was, you know, we gotta be thinking ahead, because we can't just keep building out and out and out. We gotta start building up. I've always advocated that. But I don't know what we do about the parking. It's a tough situation. You can enforce, you know, give people tickets for parking on the street, but it's, that's not gonna solve the problem. You gotta park somewhere, or else, you know. So, we can't really hinder progress, I guess. We have to, the thing of it is, the population of Plattsville hasn't reached the trigger point to trigger commercial development. Like Councillor Demmer said, it's kind of a chicken and egg thing, but we have to have sufficient population there before it triggers. Somebody's going to have the bright idea, I'm going to set up a Tim Hortons franchise. Well, then in no time at all, you'll see everybody building, and it'll just mushroom. But you have to have a certain population in the grocery store. Unless you have that basic population there to support these businesses, they're not going to develop there. So I guess in the meantime, we have to put up with this development and increase population until we reach that tipping point where the commercial moves in. So that's what I've said over and over, but I hear your point when it comes to parking. That's a real issue. But I don't know what the answer is. Well, what the answer would be to go up there.
Anybody else? I'll kind of throw a comment in here too, I guess. I look at some of the subdivisions locally here and how big their laneways are, and they're a lot bigger, but there's still cars on the street. I look at the size of my laneway, I still have cars on the street. It seems like it doesn't matter how big you build it, you're always going to have cars on the street. If you have a Christmas time at your house, nobody's going to have a laneway that's big enough to hold all that. And on the other part about making this more, going from 25 to 115, that's huge. Now you've just, that is to me saving farmland. And I think that's really what the justification is with the provincial policy statement, is to try and tighten up some of these lots in order to save the farmland that's around our villages. You think about, if we took this subdivision with 25, we're now almost 5 of these subdivisions in one. So it is doing what it is. I agree 100%. I know as well as any that if it's a single car garage or even a double, drive around, how many people even have their car in their garage because they got too many toys and stuff sitting in their garage to put it in their garage, so it's sitting in the laneway and on the road. Unfortunately, I guess that's the prerogative of the owner of the house. If they decide to park their vehicles on the street, and in the wintertime they get a ticket. I know last year I had many people on Fennel Street and they're like, well, we own 3 vehicles, we don't have room. Unfortunately, that's not council's concern. So I get it 100%. I don't know what the answer is for parking. I really don't. I think if you went bigger, you're just going to have the same problem, and then we'll be complaining about taking farmland. So anyway, that's kind of my 2 cents worth on it. It's Nancy kind of mentioned the chicken and the egg. Well, you could do that for probably half of the issues that are here. So anyway, anything else from council? Okay, all in favor? And opposed, if any? I guess I'm going to put my hand up for the in favor. So it's 3-2, okay? In favor. All right. We have no delegations, correspondence. The first correspondence item, 9A1, is I'm going to move it down into general. So we have 2 specific correspondence. 9A2, Drumble Egg Society request to waive permit fee for tent installation at the Drumble Fair. Yeah. Yeah, so do you want to read the resolution first for council? Or have discussion? Oh, you don't know what it'd be? That's right. Yeah, okay. So I think last year we actually did waive that fee. I kind of went back and looked at it. I did ask the cost. I think it's roughly $460 to waive that fee. And I remember at the time we talked about setting a precedence or not. And I think the main thing we come out of that, this is the only one that actually puts a tent across any of our streets. So it's, that's right. So is council okay to waive that fee? Yes? Okay. All right.
Be it hereby resolved that council received the request to waive permit fees for tent installation at the Drumbo Fair by the Drumbo Agricultural Society, and that council directs staff to waive the permit fee.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Barnes, second by Councillor Demers. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, and our next one is Scott Stewart, request for noise bylaw exemption for a winning event on August 9th, 2025 at Katana Estates. From maybe try and put some background out, and I don't know, maybe Josh, do you want to put the background out since they contacted you?
Yeah, of course. Through you, Mr. Mayor, two members of council, I guess it's worthwhile to note at this point that as of July the 14th, 2025, the Superior Court did grant a temporary stay of the order to prohibit occupancy at the Katana Estate site. So that order was again issued by the Township CBO, and it was stayed, so temporarily paused by the Superior Court. And as a result of that decision, in the interim and as directed by that court, Katana Estates is permitted to continue their operation until further directions received from the court. With that said, I may hand it over to Sarah, the clerk, just to discuss sort of the notice provisions within our notice bylaw. I think, you know, at a high level, staff are opposed to accommodating the request, and our main sort of consideration at this point has to do with that notice requirement that's built into our notice bylaw.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we do require 60 days notice of an exemption request, which we did not receive. There was about 9 or a week's notice. We also, to meet the exemption request, would need to post a public notice requiring, letting the public know that there is this exemption request coming before council, and we did not meet that requirement either.
So anything else from council? I know personally for me, I'm not in favor of it at all.
I think it's counterintuitive, but
Yeah, absolutely. And I think yeah, I do. Absolutely. But I think what they were asking was at 40-some decibels, which is about what we're talking in here right now, which is, that's what they wanted. Like the Katanas are telling them it has to be lowered to that, which unfortunately that is what it is, so, okay.
Be it hereby resolved that council received the request for noise bylaw exemption from Scott Stewart, and that council deny the request for the noise bylaw exemption.
Okay, can I get a mover in a second, please? By Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Young. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, and then we'll go down to general correspondence. So we've already done so we'll have the Council of Township Zora, speeding, distracted driving, impaired driving, one from Norwich as well, and then the other one is the temporary always stop at the end of Keg Lane on Brant Road there. Personally, I think it should be a permanent one there, but anyway.
I was just going to say the same.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
I
that,
go on that road all the time.
it's crazy, that
Really
road.
slows traffic down in that
Yeah,
area.
yeah.
I think it probably will be.
Yeah.
It would not be surprised me if the study comes back to say, leave it the way it is. Would not surprise me at all. So, okay, anything else on any of those? Go ahead.
The one from Norwich and the one from Zora, the resolutions, we had passed those in February.
Yep.
So they're just back on there. Of course, we support them.
Yeah.
Be it hereby resolved that the general correspondence items be received as information.
Okay, can I get a mover and second, please? Moved by Councillor Banbury, second by Councillor Barnes. Any comments? All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, and we'll get into our staff reports. Director of Protective Services, Drew Davidson. Your monthly report. Welcome, Drew.
Afternoon, Council, Mr. Mayor. Yes, as mentioned, I'm here to present my monthly report for the month of June. We started off with our annual SCBA testing, conforming to the NFPA standard 1852, and that's to ensure that the face pieces work properly and the packs supply the fresh air to the firefighters. I'm pleased to say that with our new decon washer that we have in place and the masks for the firefighters, a couple O-rings here and there, and everything was just fine. So our maintenance program is working very well. We also had a kind of a mid-year review with the district chiefs and the deputy chief as well, just to go over the first half of the year and take a look at the fall schedule coming up there. We are having cross-training, and which is working well, because on a lot of these calls, you may arrive on one apparatus and you end up working on another one, whatever. So the training has come a long ways, and very happy that we had a great meeting that entailed there. I was going to say, the next item, hopefully you've taken note of the digital signs and hadn't heard anything negative about them, but if we do, we can turn them down. Right now they are 100% during the day, 60% at dusk, and then 30% in the evening. And we can work on that, but so far haven't heard anything. And the last component of that is just tying them all in together, which we're working on right now. We have a special laptop that we can go around to each one, but we're tying them all together so we can do that from one location. So that's the last component we're working on right now. And again, that was funded through the Emergency Management Grant. So very happy. I'm quite pleased with the way they turned out there. And the month of June there, we worked very hard on the tender process, putting the final details together and what we're going to talk about in the next few minutes here. And with everything that we've done, our firefighters continue to demonstrate their commitment for safety, but not just for firefighters, with all the community. I think the signs are a great improvement there. So that's my report for the month of June.
Okay. Any questions on the report? Nope, I'm not seeing any.
Be it hereby resolved that report SC 2510 be received as information.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Young. Any comments? And I do think the signs look great, and I've had a couple comments to say they look really good. It's nice to see, for sure. Okay, all in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, and your next one.
Next report, FC 2511, pleased to present the tender results for the new Princeton Fire Station. A little background, I'm sure Council is well aware of the process that we've gone through with acquiring the land, rezoning, touring the stations, and so forth, and then presenting that to Council at the April 2nd meeting so that we could proceed with the tender process. It was issued on June 24th and closed on July 22nd with a mandatory site date on June the 8th, where we had 23 general contractors in attendance there, so it was well attended. We even had one of our councillors drive by to make sure we were all on the up and up, so it was good to see there. And then we had 13 competitive bids come in on the 22nd. As you're aware, Nelson Dully was appointed as the township engineer for this project. He had reviewed all the bids to ensure that they crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's and conformed with everything that we had asked for, and that the timing of what they proposed was in line as well. When we move into the financial considerations, there is the first section here. Just for Council's own knowledge here, this part isn't being approved tonight. This is additional items that we will be looking at, and we will continue to look for additional funding, including some items that we'll include in the 2026 budget. The Hydro 1, for instance, they won't give you a firm estimate until the foundation is in. That's when we'll get that. So far, our engineer has been pretty much spot on with his numbers. So we're fairly confident in the electrical one, and Enbridge, we have had a high-level discussion on that amount as well. Council should take note as well. We do have an application in for some grant funding on the capital side right now. Right now, we cannot comment further on that, but staff is confident that this project does align with the program objectives that they have set out in that program. So hopefully we'll have further details to come. Our Director of Finance has obviously reviewed everything here, and as noted in the report, has outlined the criteria for this with the proponent of hopefully obtaining some grant funding, as well as what council foresees in the future with the current facility, what they wish to do with that, and all that would be put against the debenture that would come with this project. I think in the changing political landscape, for the longest that we've talked about this, and the building costs that have fluctuated everything, I'm very happy to present this tender result. And I think it's very good for the township, the firefighters, and the generations to come of firefighters, hopefully. So it is staff's recommendation that the township accept the tender bid of $2,563,087, not including HST, submitted by Apcot Construction Limited.
Any questions? Nice to see that many tenders.
Yep.
I think that's the most we've ever had for any project that I can remember in a long, long time. Usually we get 2 or 3 and that's it. Yeah. Councilor Brand.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I was the guilty party driving fast, but actually on my tractor. Anyway, I went back the lane, I turned right in front of where the new firehouse going to be. I don't think there was maybe one vehicle there or something. Anyway, I was back at our place for a few minutes. I came back and there were at least, I think I counted about 26 vehicles parked on the road. I knew there was a meeting on the way. So that's good that we had such a good representation. That's really unusual, I would say.
Yeah. Okay, anything else from council?
Be it hereby resolved that report FC 2511 be received as information, and that the township accepts the tender bid of $2,563,087, not including HST, submitted by Abcot Construction Limited, and further, that the CAO, Chief Administrative Officer, or designate be permitted to sign the tender documents contract binding the township and Abcot Construction Limited for the provision of a fire station capital facility in Princeton.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? By Councilor Danbury, second by Councilor Demers. Any comments? Oh, all in favor? Opposed, if any? And that's carried. Thank you. Okay, and next is Ray, our Manager of Building Services and our Chief Building Official. Welcome, Ray.
Good afternoon, Council, Mr. Mayor. If I may, I'd like to present my report for the month of June. We issued another 13 permits, is that true? 13 permits. Of note, that was my first institutional permit that I've issued since I've been here. So we're looking forward to that. And of course, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions? I'm not seeing any. Okay, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that report CBO 2507 be received as information.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councilor Barnes, second by Councilor Young. Any comments? Hopefully those permits keep coming. All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and next is Jim Borton, our Director of Public Works. Welcome, Jim.
My first report is for a tandem truck with plow equipment. Our capital plan is every 10 years for a replacement. We do have scheduled to be replaced in 2026, a tandem truck with plow equipment. Current lead times are 12 to 18 months to get a vehicle. What we are asking for now is to move the cab and chassis ahead to 2025. By placing the order now, it will ensure that by the end of 2026, we will have that vehicle to replace the 2016 vehicle. Freightliner is currently what we typically use. Through the canoe program, the AMO canoe program, which how we purchased our last truck, we would stay with Freightliner. The price is comparable with all the rest. We're familiar with it. Continuity between parts, stuff like that, is all good. The budget number is within budget. However, we would be looking to pull the cab and chassis provided it was delivered in 2025. There is the chance that it may not become till 2026 budget year anyways, but there is, from speaking with the salesperson, right now their highway division is very slow, so straight trucks, municipal vehicles, when they receive an order, are being pulled forward. So there is the opportunity that we may see that delivered in December, which we would then be required to obviously pay for that out of the 2025 budget.
Okay. Any questions?
Mr. Mayor, who's the closest Freightliner dealer?
So it's through Metro, which will be in Brantford. There's one in Brantford and Cambridge.
Any other questions from council? So just with the canoe process, I'm familiar with it, but if we would have gone outside, say, the canoe procurement, all of the people that would have bid on the truck are probably through the canoe anyway, right? Is that fair?
Yeah, so what AMO has done for all municipalities, they've created, done the bidding for you. They've gone to all the suppliers and said, give us your very best price. We're gonna offer it to all the municipalities, give us your very best price. And then from there, the suppliers gave that, and then, so essentially they've done the tender process for us.
Okay. Anything else from council? Councilor Dennis.
Just a question, how it's been used, about the cleaning the reserve in 2025, possibility of that happens. What happens if we deplete the reserve and other things we have to compensate for that? And that,
Anything else from council? Nope. Go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that report PW 2512 be received as information, and that staff proceed with securing a placement on the wait list to ensure the building and delivery of a 2026 tandem truck with plow equipment, and further, that staff be authorized to proceed to obtain the 2026 tandem truck with plow equipment through AMO's Canoe Procurement Group of Canada.
Okay. Can I have a mover and a second, please? Moved by Councilor Demers, second by Councilor Banbury. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, and your next one, grader.
So this next report is the results from the tender that we did for the grader. This is to replace 2007 grader. Typically, our capital plan has us replacing equipment every 15 years. This grader was in good shape at that time, and we decided that we would prolong that, so we've kept this an extra 3 years. The grader is now 18 years old and has over 10,000 hours. It was approved in the 2025 budget for replacement. We received two prices back from Cat and John Deere. We did look at other companies. Volvo, which used to be Champion, was bought by Volvo. They used to be in graders. They're no longer producing graders. Their affiliate Case is, however, they are a smaller machine, as well as Sani, which is a Europe-made machine, which is also new to the market, but also a European and a smaller machine. So your main two are your John Deere's and your Cats. We spec both for a four-wheel drive and an all-wheel drive. The current two models that we have are all-wheel drive, six-wheel drive graders. They do give us better control, especially on when we're out ice blading during construction. If you can compare it to a rear-wheel drive car and a four-wheel drive vehicle, that's kind of the comparison. Certainly more stable in some of the conditions that we're operating these machines in. Both have offered a fairly decent trade-in. So for the budget, we had budgeted $400,000. The quotes came in quite over that, $569,900 for the John Deere and $593,185 for a Cat. Difference between the four-wheel drive and the six-wheel drive is approximately $53,000. In this tender price, we do have included a rear roller. This is the exact same model that we just purchased in 2024 for our graders, which we are getting a lot of use out of. Trade-in values, so $90,000 has been offered from John Deere, $98,000 from Cat. We can also use, what I'm proposing we do is we can go to GovDeals and put in a reserve bid. So we know we're guaranteed, provided we go through with the low tender from John Deere, get $90,000. We can add our expenses that it would cost to do, putting it on the auction, the fees, that type of a thing, and put a reserve in for, I'm suggesting $115,000. If we get one bid, then obviously we're getting more money for it. Whereas if we don't get any bids for it, we still have the fallback on that trade-in value. So overall, with the trade-in value, we'd be about $65,000 over budget. I'm pretty confident we'll be able to get more of them.
Any questions from council? Councilor Bamber.
To you, Mr. Mayor, just for clarification, are we trading in a roller with the other?
No, so we don't have a current roller.
Oh, so we're going to add it as a roller.
Right. Yeah. We added the roller attachment in 2024.
How many rollers do we have now? Two?
This will be the second.
Oh, this will be the second?
Yeah.
And we have how many graders?
3.
Well, that makes sense.
Anything else from council? Anything? Okay.
Be it hereby resolved that report PW 2513 be received as information, and that council accepts the tender submitted by Brandt John Deere for the supply and delivery of the new 2025 John Deere 772G motor grader for $569,900 plus HST, and that staff be directed to investigate selling the 2007 140H Cat grader through auction, and further, that staff be authorized to accept the trade value of $90,000 from Brandt should the auction not garner a better value.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder, please? By Councilor Barnes, second by Councilor Banbury. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's your monthly report.
This is my monthly report for July. So the Princeton Pond Project. So concentration now is to remove the excess soils from the ponds. The Van Wees Pond, the greenhouses, where the greenhouses were, the majority of that fill has been removed. We have started on the Romano Pond off of Peter Street. The Princeton construction, Phase 4, Main Street from Emma, north of the tracks, all the underground is completed, and they have brought that back up to base gravel, so it's much nicer to drive across now. They're currently working on Victoria Street, Wanham and Railway, which will be for the month of August, and then they'll move the south streets down by Peter towards Highway 2. Currently, construction is about 2 or 3 weeks behind. We're hoping that that time will be able to be made up. We certainly have had much better weather than when we started. Bridge 24, so we're working through the reports, making sure that we have all our approvals. We're still on schedule to tender that this fall with hopefully late fall, November construction start for that project. Bridge 38, so that was the deck repair on Township Road 5. So Township Road 5 is now open, that is all complete. For our service sharing, road association, and AORs, most of that all gets put on hold for summer vacations. That will be ramping up again in September. There has been a couple of executive meetings, but they have just been virtual meetings for the AORs. Drainage, obviously Adam's been very busy down at the construction, finding the private connections, making sure they're mapped out and hooked up, as well as working on any drain repairs that needed to be done. Most of those are completed, with some being done. We'll have to wait until the crops come off to complete some of those other ones. Staff has been working on obviously the roadside cutting, some culvert replacements, and then of course with these heavy rains that we've had, some gravel repair and washouts that need to be fixed. And then, yeah, ExploreNet is still sending in lots of permits as we go along here. Finally getting them cleaning up some of their mess that they've created, which has been nice. And we've been working on some of the other programs to get started for mesh and stuff like that.
Okay, any questions?
Whoever graded Township Road 6, Ashmore, did an awesome job. That road is perfect. Whoever graded, that road did a really good job.
I'll pass that on. Anything else? Do you know whether there was any, when they've been disconnecting the streets, have they found any illegal hookups into our drains at all, whether it's gray water, septic, whatever?
I believe we did find one on Main Street. They had their washing machine hooked up to it, so that has since been fixed. But much better than what we had anticipated. We thought we'd have found a lot more, but fortunately we have not.
I'm surprised, because from what I heard from some of the residents, they figured half the village was dumping in there. So, okay, good to hear. Just one other question too is with the railway tracks, CN in Princeton. I went through there on, I don't know if it was Saturday, Sunday, doesn't matter what day it was. And I'm going through that whole piece, which is still pretty rough, and I'm in my truck, and I got to the tracks. And it's pretty sad when the tracks are worse than, I would tend to try and go up any of the side roads before I would want to cross those tracks. They're absolutely horrible. And I'm just wondering if we should, whether we should be having them another in-person meeting or whatever, video meeting here with them about them, because if they're going to fix them, this is the time to be getting on it. And yeah, you wouldn't need to put a speed bump anywhere down there if you left it, I'm sure, because they're absolutely, they're actually unsafe. when you go over them, that's how bad they are. And they've done a good job repairing the two. Yep, done a very good job on them. So anyway, I'm just wondering if maybe that's something we should be looking at in our September time, one of our meetings of getting a hold of them and having them, whether they do virtual or whatever, or whether we have to get them out there on site. So.
Yeah, it's something that the county and I have been working on. As we know from our experience with CN in the past, they're not one to reply when it doesn't convenient for them, so there may be an opportunity to escalate that.
We have to remind them how well CP did on this end of the...
Yes.
Councilor Bamber.
I mean, they were bad before, but they're horrible now.
Oh, really bad.
Wouldn't there be some problem with these heavy dump trucks and stuff going over there that, could damage the rail somehow?
Unfortunately, I
Isn't there a
don't...
safety issue there?
Not for
the drivers, but for the trains.
Yeah, we did mention that to CN. The response that we got back was that they do their inspections and they haven't found anything, and so unfortunately the asphalt holds up is weaker than what the bedding that they put underneath the tracks. So the tracks seem to be holding, and that's all they care about.
I know they go up and down, but when I just did my pickup truck, we went over the other day, and I looked out the window, and you could actually see the track moving like this way as you're going over it, not just up and down. It's actually flexing. Going, that's pretty bad, but anyway, it's been brought up here anyway.
The fire department ready when they did the
Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe if we can look into maybe contacting, I can't remember the guy, is it Salvador?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll follow up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we can do that. Yep. Okay, thank you.
Be it hereby resolved that report PW 2514 be received as information.
Okay, can I move in a second, please? Moved by Councillor Young, second by Councillor Banbury. Any comments? All in favor? And opposed to any? And that's carried. Thank you, Jim.
Council.
Okay, and next, Trevor Bear, Manager of Community Services.
Council.
Welcome, Trevor.
Here to do some monthly reports and some other reports. We'll start off with the EASE grant report, CS 2511. Looking for a recommendation from council today to move forward with submitting a application for the EASE grant application for accessibility to upgrade the Drumbo, Princeton, and Plattsville Park washrooms. The EASE grant is a grant offered through the Ministry for Seniors and Accessibility. Provides up to $60,000 for small-scale accessible upgrades. Deadline is August 14th, 2025. It's 100% coverage of the $60,000. So we're just getting council's permission today to move forward with aligning with our municipal multi-year accessible plan. So vision is to be very barrier-free within the accessible plan. The project scope is to focus on the washrooms in Plattsville, Drumbo, and Princeton. Right now, we know the highest need is Plattsville washrooms compared to the other ones. This grant allows us to move forward and do different locations, so we can do three spots in the township. How it works, looking at sinks, stalls, new regulations have come out even since some of with the changing times of the Accessibility Act. So in-house contractors and in-house plus contractors will be doing some of this work. Okay. So yeah, and financial impact right now, we're just going after the $60,000 for these projects. We're getting quotes. I've talked to a few contractors now to get quotes for it, to see where that puts us, just because the deadline is the 14th of August. So we're just trying to get everything ready, but if council doesn't want to move forward with it, that's fine too, but we're just like for permission to move forward with it.
Okay. Council's good with that? I think probably anytime there's grant money out there, I'm looking for it for sure. Absolutely. So I think you have a resolution here, but I think you have blessing of council. Want to go ahead?
Be it hereby resolved that report CS 2512 be received as information, and further, that council directs staff to proceed with submitting an application under the Enhancing Access to Spaces for Everyone, EASE grant program. The intent of the application being to secure funding to upgrade the public park washrooms located in Drumbo, Princeton, and Plattsville, with the goal of improving accessibility for residents and visitors.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Banbury, second by Councillor Young. Any comments? All, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think this is really exciting, and Trevor, you probably know where I'm going to go with my comment, but I'm wondering if it's after, hopefully we see this grant, if it's worth having a conversation with either people with lived experience or the advisory committee regarding
Oxford County.
like just to make sure we are making them not, I know there's a code, the Accessibility Act, but I'm sure people with lived experience needing some accessible facilities would tell you that the bare minimum is not actually accessible. So I mean, if we're going to do it, that's all. I think this is awesome, but maybe if we're going to get this grant and we're going to do something, maybe we could make it so it actually is accessible. And so hopefully we get this grant and can do that, but if we can just keep that in our mind after.
Anything else from council? All in favor? And opposed, if any? And that's carried. Okay, and your next.
Okay, the next report, here for the fence report. This report came from 2 council meetings ago. We had inquiry about a fence put in the Princeton Park, bordering the 2 properties. One's a business and one's a residential that backs right by the pavilion onto the park. The letter came from the residents and the business saying they'd like to split a fence with the township. Council asked staff to go back and do some research on it. So we did some research. We consulted with the insurance company. They have gave us some insight of how to move forward with it. It isn't 100% our responsibility for the trespassing onto their property, but since it has been addressed to us, we could look into it. They gave us a few options. You could stay status quo and not do anything. You could put up signs saying this is the property of the borders, this is the property of the fence, or this is the property of the park, and let people know that they're not supposed to go past this point. Or we could split the fence with the resident and the business. From this, for the risk factor, there isn't a high risk factor if we don't do anything. And the 3 options is stay status quo, or signs, or split the fence. We also looked at on the drawing here, you can see how many square feet of fence we would need and where our entrance point is for the park. Our entrance point is about 127 feet from the business where people would be cutting through to. It would be about 383 feet of fence, and this would go along the property line. It would go on their property, not on the property line, and it would go up the side of the house, south, the back south of the house, and then south towards the private properties, business private property. So they say people are cutting through the private property, get to the park, and the house is saying that people are coming into their property from the park property. This is a high traffic area zone. This pavilion is a high traffic area zone with all the washrooms being there, so that's kind of where it's recommended that if you were to go with a fence, that's kind of the justification of it a little bit more, because there are a lot more traffic there compared to other spots of the park. Everybody comes to the washrooms there. So we're just looking for some direction from council to move forward with a recommendation for staff to move forward with something.
Okay. What's council's thoughts on direction for fence?
I think with the residential part of the fence, if you put it in, it should be a board fence. Rather than go with a screen maybe down past the fire hall. Maybe to the next residential property. If that would be feasible enough.
I have a question, I guess. The fence, are you all right?
Give me a minute.
We can just take a break. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Sorry we had to take a quick break there. Okay, so discussion on the fence. The one question I did have is, I'm kind of okay with the commercial aspect of it. I get that property for sure. The problem I have, and I'm curious, the homeowner took the fence down on their property, right? Like they removed that fence. And now we're paying to put a fence up that they removed. And that's the issue I have with that one particular property. Yeah, now I don't know if it was just across the back or all the way down the side, but they did have a fence there and they removed it. I don't know whether it was rotten.
Right, and through you, Mr. Mayor, again, unfortunately, just for the benefit of those watching, unfortunately, our manager of community services had to step out for a second, but that is my understanding, that there was a pre-existing fence that has been removed. It's probably best that if we make the decision kind of based on that information, we maybe would benefit from having him here. We could always defer this decision to a future meeting. But I will say, that was my understanding, was that there was a fence. It kind of became derelict. It needed repairs, and it was removed within the last several years since the current owner purchased the property.
But I don't know if it was just the 2 feet or whether it was the whole piece all the way around. That I don't know. Yeah. But that's the problem I have with the whole thing, is that if we all of a sudden, sorry, I better get up to the mic. If we all of a sudden have other people that are in areas that have a fence and go, I don't like this fence, I'm going to take it down in the township. That's my concern. I get the safety thing 100%. It's our park. I don't have a problem with fencing it off. But I am a little bit concerned about replacing a fence that somebody tore down and now they want us to put it back up. And the other part of that was that fence our fence.
Right. Through you, Mr. Mayor, as far as I understand, that fence was proximate to the property line, but I believe it was on private property.
Okay. So I mean, I'm okay with whatever council's decision is. Councilor Young?
What was your suggestion, Darrell?
If you were to put a fence there, be a board fence on the private property there, to right down as far as Brian mentions, and then go the rest of the way down past the fire hall. If people are still walking through the fire hall. A little further down, if it was a chain link fence, the rest of the way.
I mean, behind these other houses too.
I don't know if there's.
Behind the fire hall all the way down, you're thinking?
Just to the fire hall.
To where they're showing on the map here now.
No, another right past the fire hall.
Also going to the other side of the fire hall.
Yeah, but I think people will still come up through the fire hall. And then the rest of it, on the other side's private property, house sitting right there.
Yeah, I was sort of looking at something similar, except instead of extending the fence further, I wondered, since that's our fire hall, I wonder, again, extra cost, but we put a walkway in from there to the main street, like on the north side of the fire hall. And that's our land anyway. It provides another access.
It's only our land for now, though.
Yeah, not gonna be.
Yeah, but we could take a piece of it, right?
An easement or something,
Yeah.
maybe when we sell the property, there could be a walkway there.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I may, and I guess further to Councillor Demarest's point, I think that is a report that will be forthcoming to council, especially given the approval of the tender this evening. Now, one of our next steps is determining whether or not council wishes to dispose of those lands. So that's certainly, consideration we could include within the scope of that future report. At this point in the year and sort of given the background work that's been done by the manager of community services, I don't think that we're necessarily in a huge rush to make a decision. If we've got sort of other variables like that to consider, council could consider deferring it and again, to provide some general direction to staff to explore that option of creating a throughway and then, also creating some additional budget considerations for Councillor Barnes' point about extending that wood board fence.
Yeah.
I think deferring it is probably a good decision, and I wondered even about if we were not thinking that we were wanting to go in that direction, perhaps we think about something with a temporary fence on those long weekend tournaments. That was the letter was the concern, is it wasn't an everyday concern, it was 4 weekends a year or whatever. But if we were thinking, no, maybe that wasn't the way we wanted to go, perhaps on those long weekends, they put up a snow fence to stop people from going through that on those weekends. And say we need to do that for the remainder of this year, I don't know, have tournaments scheduled, but it could maybe get us through the rest of 2025.
I know the fire hall. I've had somebody tell me that they pulled into the fire hall one day and they had all the tables and food all lined up along the side of the fire hall, and they were all in there having a barbecue and the whole 9 yards in there. Yeah. I get it. Some people just don't think about it, right? There's an open spot, nobody's going to be there, kind of thing, right? They've probably done it before, years before, maybe in the same spot. They just haven't got caught this time. Yeah, I get the whole safety aspect of it and blocking it off, and it is our park and is our safety concern. I'm not sure whether we pick what style of fence, whether it's this is what we plan on doing. I don't know if a board fence would be more than a chain link fence.
I don't know. It would be pretty close in cost. Chain link might be cheaper the way the lumber.
Yeah, I would think a little bit, but maybe this is the cost. This is the cost if we do chain link. If they want to do board fence, they pay the extra cost. That might be a thought. I do tend to. I'm not sure how much. It's hard to tell on this picture, but if you look at that walking trail that comes right up behind the fire hall there, and I do like Councillor Demarest's idea, that, now there's no, the only problem is there's no sidewalk down there, is it? Doesn't go that, does it go that far to the, I don't think there's a site.
You'd need a fence along.
You'd have to have it on both
the main
sides.
street there, otherwise people would, on that, if there's a trail there, they'd just be.
You'd have to have a fence on both sides. You would literally have to walk, make a path. I don't know if it's worth spending, because there's no sidewalk on there. So if there was a sidewalk, it might be worthwhile, but I do think it's not a bad idea that, you know, that if we think about doing something down there. I'd like to know, though, if they tore all that, if they tore pretty near 200 feet of fence down, and now they want us to replace their fence. I'm not sure that's something that I'm really in favor of, if we can maybe look into that.
More information.
Councillor Young.
One more question too, and
Yep.
I think it was a couple of years ago, there was conversation about the balls flying in someone's yard.
Yep.
Is this the same yard or?
No, it was the first, I think it was the first property, right? I think. I believe it was this one right here. Oh, wait a minute.
I feel like it is the top.
No, it might have been that yard, because it was Wanda that complained, right? And that's her house. Yeah, you might be right.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's who complained. Or was it Rob Vanderbilt? Yeah, Rob is the first property.
Yeah, they live in the.
One that's got the little roundabout up front. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because that makes more sense where it would go into there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I guess we'll just defer this? Okay.
Through you, your worship, do we want a resolution to have temporary fencing as well for the remainder of 2025 for
You're only-
larger events?
You're only
Or-
looking, really, you're talking, by the time they got the fence down, you'd be taking it down, because minor ball is probably, our minor ball is pretty much done here. So you're only talking about outside tournaments, you're maybe talking maybe a month at the most. I don't know if it's worthwhile putting a temporary fence up. By the time we got it up there, we'd be taking it down again. I don't know.
Let the residents know that we're thinking of doing something, at least.
Okay.
Be it hereby resolved that report CS 2513 be received as information, and further, that council defer a decision regarding report CS 2513.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Barnes. Any comments? All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, and next, Denise, our Director of Finance Treasurer, please. Oh, sorry. Oh, yes, sorry, we're going to do Trevor's, you can go ahead and sit down there. We're going to do Trevor's, we'll let Sarah do Trevor's monthly report. Thank you.
Good afternoon, members of council. You have before you CS 2511, the monthly report for the Community Services Department. I would just like to bring council's attention to the township's 50th anniversary celebration, Plattsville edition, by the Plattsville and District Heritage Society. They're having events August 9th, 16th, and 23rd, 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Those are all Saturdays. For the anniversary display and a retro rewind exhibit. For arena services, staff are working through their checklists, their building maintenance checklist to ensure systems are inspected and functional in advance of ice installation coming up early September. For parks and recreation, July was a busy month in the parks. Early on in Ox on the Run have been parking in our parks as well for visitors. For our cemeteries, Decoration Day is upcoming in the Princeton Cemetery on August 17th. And cemetery foundation work has been substantially completed through our repair of Monument Foundation program in the Princeton Cemetery. If you have any questions, I will attempt to answer. I'll bring it back to the manager of community services.
Okay, I'll just maybe make a quick comment. I know we've had the Township 50th anniversary things all across the township. It's something I think council should try to. Got 3 Saturdays there. If you can try to at least make one of those, that'd be really good to see. I'm going to try and do Saturday this week myself. Is one, and just a question, I guess. I don't think we've picked anybody for, have we picked anybody for Cemetery Day yet?
I don't believe so. That's what I was gonna ask, maybe Trevor.
I nominate Bruce.
Trevor knows. Well,
I know I can't. I'm at the Harvest Carnival. And probably Nancy, you are as well.
I'm conducting the service, so I just assumed it's somebody else, but I can do it if no one else is available.
I know I'm not available, and I presume Nancy won't be either. So, somebody wants to go. Once? 2:30.
Maybe Trevor's already.
Usually somebody from the township leaves.
It should be. I think actually Trevor did it himself.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, so we'd
sir.
received an inquiry just in July after the previous agenda publishing date, so they were looking for that confirmation. And it was Edna Williamson that we're looking to follow up with. So if it's to be determined, as long as we find out kind of who the final selected member is, we can take care of communicating that back.
I know I can't. Probably Nancy in the same boat as me.
No, I think you can yell out. What do you typically do? What does the council representative do at?
Just they read.
They read?
Like a remembrance day kind of thing.
So you guys know what you're in for. You decide.
So, yeah. Are either of you available 100% for sure, or?
I'm not 100% sure.
I'm assuming that doesn't count as,
Okay. All right, so maybe let.
Still have the decoration day.
Rumble?
Chesterfield. Do they have their decoration day?
I don't think they have one. The only other one is,
They used to. Right?
do they?
Built in all
Okay.
types of-
I know Drumbo does one.
I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard anything about Drumbo yet.
what day is
Yeah, August 17th.
So maybe between the three of you find out, Bruce is there one way or the other, he can do it if he, I know one time I was able to show up and do it.
Yeah, we were there a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Hopefully we can
We'll leave it
move
at
it
that.
outdoors and.
Yeah. Okay, so anything else on Trevor's staff report? Nope, I see anything.
Be it hereby resolved that report CS 2511 be received as information.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Young, second by Councillor Demers. Any comments? All in favor? And opposed, if any? And that's carried. Okay, now Denise, got you.
Thank you. Reports, interim variance report, second quarter, so financial reports up to the end of June of this year, both capital and operating, and some explanations for some variances. Nothing really to note at this time.
Okay, any questions from council? Nope.
Be it hereby resolved that report TR 2510 be received as information.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Barnes. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed, if any? That's carried. Okay, and Kevin, our Deputy Clerk Communications Coordinator, which I've seen many communications on there that are very well done. Thank you very much. I've actually had several comments saying they enjoyed things you've been posting on there, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and members of council. I'm presenting the document commissioning policy, DC 2507, which defines the services that some of our staff, authorized as commissioners of oaths, provide to the public. The policy outlines which documents we can commission, such as planning applications, pension forms, and statutory declarations, and it also specifies those we cannot commission, including wills, powers of attorney, and real estate forms. It's important to note in this policy that commissioners of oaths administer oaths, but we do not verify the content of the documents. The responsibility for the truth of the statements lies with the deponent or the declarant. We also clarify that we do not provide notary services or certify true copies of documents. If a document cannot be commissioned, we refer individuals to the appropriate legal services. This policy helps streamline our services and ensures transparency. I recommend its adoption, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from council? Not seeing any? Oh, sorry, Councillor Bambury.
Mr. Mayor, just how busy are we with requests of any kind?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor. At the moment, I would say we receive maybe 2 or 3 commissioner votes appointments a week.
More than I would have thought.
And that's not counting the ones that I get at my house. I probably get, I haven't had any for a bit, but I was averaging at sometimes 4 and 5 a month, I would say, at least. So I haven't had any for a little bit, but it's actually, I really like this. We spoke about this earlier today. It's really nice to have that. As me, I thought I could just commission anything that a commissioner could do. And I guess that's just what I've always believed, right? So now it's nice that we have something cut and dried to say, we can do this or this, and that's it. And we had good discussion about that today. So I'm really, this is a good piece of information to have for us, for sure. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that report DC 2507 be received as information, and further that council approve and adopt the document commissioning policy as attached to report DC 2507.
Okay, could I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Bambury. Any comments? All in favor? And opposed, if any? And that's carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you, council.
Okay, and next, Sarah, our Director of Corporate Services in Court.
Good afternoon, members of council. We have before you report number DC 2508 regarding council composition review. I'll start with a little bit of background. Members are elected by general vote currently, and beginning in December of 2006, Blandford-Blenheim Council appointed an acting head of council. There are 4 council members appointed individually as acting head of council to serve consecutively in alphabetical order for a 12-month period during the 4-year council term. The acting head of council has and may exercise all rights, powers, and authority of the head of council in the event of absence, illness, or vacancy of the head of council. We are proposing this review of composition of council prior to the 2026 municipal election. Ontario municipalities have broad authority to determine their own electoral systems. Section 217 of the Act authorizes municipalities to determine the composition of their own councils. And to amend the composition of our Township of Blandford-Blenheim Council, we must pass a resolution and a corresponding bylaw to enact the change. If the municipality intends to add a council seat or change 1 seat to deputy mayor position for the 2026 to 2030 term, a bylaw must be passed prior to January 1st of 2026. East, Sora, Tavistock, and Zora currently have an elected deputy mayor. Ourselves, Southwest Oxford, and Norwich, out of the rural lower tiers, do not have deputy mayor. I won't go over the roles and responsibility of the deputy mayor, as they're very similar to the chair when they're filling in for the chair. Given that the deputy mayor is not required under the Act, there is no specific legislative role outlined for the position. Like all other members of council, a deputy mayor would be required to fulfill the legislative responsibilities as a member of council as outlined in section 224 of the Act. Given that council of Blandford-Blenheim has 1 representative at county council, there is no legislative basis that necessitates an at-large election of a deputy mayor. That being said, we may still choose to enact a deputy mayor. There are 3 options for doing so. The councillor that receives the most votes at large in an election may be automatically appointed as deputy mayor. The mayor has the ability to independently appoint the deputy mayor, or council can collectively appoint a deputy mayor. This being said, if we had an election for deputy mayor, that's a whole different process. If council is in favor of further discussion of this adding a deputy mayor position, staff may be directed to provide a more in-depth analysis on options and potential governance impacts. There is no specific notice requirement for amending council composition. If council wishes to proceed with an elected deputy mayor, as noted before, we would pass a resolution and enact a bylaw. If a bylaw is supported by council, staff would bring subsequent reports recommending amendments to various policies as appropriate in order to support this new position. Staff have brought this report in advance of the 2026 municipal election in order that we would give potential candidates sufficient information about the new position. So this is a decision that council could make collectively before the 2026 municipal election in order to have a deputy mayor. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Questions from council? I'll just, I'm going to maybe comment, I'm not questioning, but I, like for me personally, one way or the other, it's not really going to make a whole lot of difference in my role as far as that goes, because we either have somebody appointed or we have somebody elected. So in my role, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference. I know back a few years ago, we had a councillor that got most votes, and we decided to make him the acting representative for the mayor at county council. And when I sit and look at hindsight of, myself, I was actually the highest vote getter the first time, and I'm thinking, I would have never been the right person to send to county council at that time. So the option of picking the person with the most votes, I just don't, I think that's the wrong thing to do. I think if that's the option we go to, if you decide to vote one and whatever. So that's one option I think we shouldn't even be looking at, because very often, if you look back on the track record, that new person that's coming through garners a lot of speed, and they could very well be the highest. I don't know who was the highest. Were you the highest last time, vote getter? And I think you were next, right? So you could have that new councillor coming in that all of a sudden you're making them the deputy mayor, which, and yes, yeah, and myself too, right? So when you look at that scenario, I think that's one scenario I don't even think we should look at, because it should be the person that's either most qualified or the person that's elected in. So to me, there's really only kind of two options that we look at, the third one. And like I say, this is more council's decision, because, for me, it really won't change my role at all, because it's still going to be that one person, whether you're appointed or whether you're elected, that's in that position. So kind of said my 2 cents worth, and I'll leave it up to you guys. So, go ahead, Councillor Emmons.
I'm probably the person that should comment on this the most, because it's something that I've been speaking a little bit to the CIO about. And what precipitated this was conversations that I had with the deputy mayor from AZT and the deputy mayor from Zora. And before I say anything else, I'm going to say this isn't comment on the current council or the current mayor. This is strictly coming from the perspective of forward thinking, okay? Because we have this council now, and like the mayor just said, it doesn't really make a difference to him, and that's great. But my perspective is a little bit more forward looking. I think that the world is a lot more complex than it was when we made these decisions. I think that the role of mayor we've gotten a lot busier and has expanded, and the depth of knowledge that you need to be able to lead a council, even in a small rural community, has become much more complex. It's not a part-time position anymore. And so part of my motivation is by suggesting a deputy mayor, someone that has the capacity of deputy mayor, is much like a COO or a second board chair, is to support the mayor. And I think even though we might not need it now, I feel like as Blandford-Blenheim evolves and grows, and I think we're going to see a lot of that over the next 10 years, that we need a little bit more, or we could potentially need a little bit more capacity for oversight and stewardship at the top level. So that's where I'm coming from. There's no guarantee that who's ever deputy mayor is going to be the mayor down the road, but there are some opportunities there for succession planning and transfer of knowledge. Whether that individual decides to stay on or not is up to them, but there is a potential there to do a little bit of, obviously they'd have to be voted in, but there's a little bit of transfer of knowledge, a little bit of training. Like I said before, shared workload. The thing I don't like about what we do now, we sort of take a year, and we go by alphabetical order. is lack of consistency. So none of us here can support Mark consistently, or the mayor, for 4 years because we're constantly being swapped out. So I think that's a disservice to this council by not having that level of consistency. So that's where I'm coming from, where, you know, in my discussions with the CAO sort of on the sidelines is, I really feel like we might want to take a hard look at this going forward. And the form that takes, I'm not sure. I don't want to add, you know, net one, because that's just going to increase our budget. But, you know, I could see a situation where we still have 4 councillors, but, you know, maybe we have a position that runs for deputy mayor as opposed to, and then 4 councillors, something like that. I think it's important that our residents have an opportunity to vote for that individual. I know that, I think it's Zora, where whoever's the most votes, I'm not 100% sure, is defaulted into that position. I could be wrong. They vote for the deputy mayor and EZ3. And I do think that, you know, and again, up for discussion, this is just sort of my initial thoughts, that it's something that the constituency should be able to vote for. Anyway, that's where all this is coming from, and you know, we have a little bit of an opportunity here to think a little bit about the composition of council and what it might look like in the future. None of us will probably be here. Maybe one of us, maybe 2 of us, who knows? But you know, this is really about the township and the kind of support I feel like we might need going forward. Mark's not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
Or maybe he is.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you at all. I guess I maybe clarify my comment a little bit. It doesn't really matter to me is what I mean by that is that as mayor, whoever is, and I'm just speaking as me, for example, I'm not here next time, it's whatever, but as mayor, the deputy mayor, whether it's a voted in position or whether it's, or whether we pick who goes there, I would work the same with that person. So that's what I mean, where it really won't change the mayor's role at all. All that would change was, and I get where you're coming from, is it may be one person that's the same for the whole 4 year, which I'm not saying I disagree with that at all, one way or the other. I definitely, like you said, the most votes, I just don't think that's the right way to go. But we have to what, January 1st to get this through? Yeah. Yes, we have a few months.
Just
Councilor
forward thinking, I'm just wondering, like, we hear these horror stories of some municipalities, a couple come to mind, some up north, I know, that they don't get along. They fight like cat and dog. So if you had an elected mayor and an elected deputy mayor, and they really didn't care much for each other, it would make a difference anyway, but it seems to me you could have some real problems, even more so than, at least when you're kind of rotating, you're only going to have to put up with the deputy mayor for 1 year. And as far as support goes for the mayor, the CAO is probably the mayor's main support. And the mayor, he kind of conveys to council what's going on behind the scenes and so on. And we can certainly get information from Josh or the CEO. So I don't know. I kind of see where you're coming from, but I just wonder if it might get a little complex. It might be a little bit more costly because you'd have the deputy mayor would be a salary or a little higher.
Could be a little bit more, I think.
I would think. So as long as you had a deputy mayor who was getting along or could get along with the mayor and didn't have ambition of some kind, it might work all right. But it would probably be better if you were going to have just a single deputy mayor for the whole term, is for the mayor to pick from council who he would like to have as the deputy mayor. That way you wouldn't have a beginning councillor taking on the position. and you would have someone that the mayor, whoever he or she is, could get along with, or, hopefully. So I don't know, there's always personalities involved. It doesn't matter what kind of political party or state or level you're involved with. There's always, can be potential for tension between officials. So I think whatever makes it fairest, I guess. Personally, I don't have really much problem with the current setup in this municipality, but, you get a different council, that's a whole different ballgame. I know I've seen 3 or 4 different councils now in the past. They've progressively improved over time. We have believe it or not, I think this is maybe the best council we've had. Not that this discount the others, but don't you feel that way?
I'll tell you, when I go to different functions or whatever, and I hear the horror stories that come out of some of the councils, I know our planner, I'm sure he travels around and sees, but I have to agree, I've been really lucky, actually. It's my 4th term, and every single council's been, like, we don't always agree. Well, that's a whole part of it. If we all agreed, then none of us would need to be here. But the only one thing is, I would rather not pick the person. And I'll tell you just an example for say Daryl and I are best buddies outside of here, and I pick Daryl. So now you've almost got like 2 guaranteed votes all the time. You know what I mean? Like that, it's that optics of it. So I look at Oxford County, and when they pick, for the very first meeting, we all go there, and nominations are put on the floor for a warden and a deputy warden, and then it's voted on amongst that council. And if we decide not to do an elected, whichever way you decide, to me, I like that. If you want to do a one deputy mayor for 4 years, I'm okay with that as well. But I think if you do, it should be that same process. You nominate somebody, and if 2 people get nominated, you vote on them. And I believe there, if it's a tie, they literally pull a name out of the hat after it's a tie. So that's the way. I personally would rather do that than as mayor, whether it's me or not, somebody picking somebody. I would rather see it voted on by council. But either way, whether it's a voted on position or not, I kind of look at it this way. When we come in the door, and I guess maybe we're lucky that our council's like this, and some people have pretty big egos, but I know personally for me, when I come in the door, I put my mayor hat on, and the friend hat's out the door. And I would hope that, I guess we've been lucky, Bruce, because we've never really had that person that wanted to do this all the time. And I know there has been some in the past, and I definitely have that at Oxford County. I get it at times. But ultimately, at the end of the goal here is you're to do what's best for the township and not for your personal ego. And some people need to get by that personal thing and just do what's right for the township. And that's my goal ever since I've been here. Maybe I'm in a dream world because we've been so lucky here with what we've had. Councillor Young. Yeah.
I don't want to play the devil's advocate here, but I'm going to for a second, because I think the world is changing, and I think it's not going to get prettier in people's opinions and how they voice them. So I think we have been very lucky for the people that we are sitting with, but I agree that things are changing, and so I feel that if that is a route we want to look at, I think residents do need to be the decision makers of that, who sits in that seat, in my opinion. And I think something in conversation about this kind of worries me a little bit too, to consider the strong mayor's powers are out there in the world, and while they're not here right now, they will be coming, and whoever sits in that seat, as far as my conversation, if the mayor's not the person sitting there, then that person has those powers. And that's something that I think we need to consider, that we're not just picking someone So let's just say we don't know who's a mayor, and they just pick the next person to be the deputy mayor. We now have lost the whole point of that democracy, of being able to have those decisions and conversations, and we already see our hands are being tied with decisions we had tonight. And I think that's just going to get more noticeable and louder and harder for people to sit here. So I think it's worth this conversation about how our council is composed, and this council, it's not ours. Next time, it's not going to be ours. So I would be interested in furthering this conversation and how we do that to make sure our township is moving in a positive way as things are changing.
And I'm okay with that. I agree. We should at least have more discussion on it. The only thing with strong mayor powers, I'm 100%, I'm against it, but I'm just who's here now. But the one thing about strong mayor powers, the reason we haven't got it is because it's one third plus one. So if you have 1/3 plus one with us, we're already at 3, right? So that's the reason that we didn't get it, and that's why the ones that got it, was it EZT got it, because they have 7. So they have that other number. Yeah. So, but I don't know whether it would ever, with the rules they have right now, strong mayor powers wouldn't work when it comes. The only difference, I guess, in the strong mayor powers would be, if it came here, would be the mayor having control of the staff situation. But as far as, I believe if I'm right, but as far as the decisions in here, I don't think the strong mayor powers would reflect only the position of saying you could fire somebody or whatever. Is that correct?
Yeah, generally speaking, Mr. Mayor, there would also be some implications for the annual budget process.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I would agree. I think the other important thing to consider is right now, and sort of in the advent of strong mayor powers, there is a lot of discussion around rural and sort of other smaller municipalities that only have 5 members, whether or not increasing that size of the councils is a reasonable solution for the province to extend strong mayor powers sort of across the province. So that's, maybe another point that's worth considering right now. Obviously, we haven't heard anything at this point, but I think, the province has made it very clear that they're in favor of this as a solution to some of the issues that they've identified. And it's I wouldn't say likely, but definitely possible that our council composition is changed, and not by council's discretion, by sort of a mandate from the province to accommodate that new power.
Seems ironic that we were pushed to reduce it. And now they could push to expand it. Yeah. Okay.
Stay with status quo until we are, or the future council mandated to change it.
I think a couple of councils at least want to have further discussion. So what direction do you want to give our clerk to? Like, what are you looking at for more information, I guess? Or what do you need for direction?
Mr. Mayor, don't need further direction. I would come with a more thorough report regarding the implications of the previous mayor's position and the options for electing in that regard.
Okay. Is that what council would like to see? Okay, perfect.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, for tonight, we just received the resolution.
Sure.
Be it hereby resolved that report DC 2508 be received as information.
Okay, I move in a second, please. By Councillor Young, second by Councillor Demers. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, any reports from council members? Think of any, just the decoration day, and the same weekend as the Drumble Harvest Carnival here, and the hoedown that night.
And the John Deere Days.
Yes.
For this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and that is on the 5th concession,
That's
the
Main.
east. The 5th concession. If you haven't been, it's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's a really good event. There's lots going on. The Lions Club is doing the food. That's part of the reason why I'm advocating for it. But if you like history, it's a really good event to attend.
On Monday, and it doesn't start till Saturday, right?
I think.
On Monday, they already had 80 tractors in the field mining. I think they were mostly one or two suppliers, and I know there's another large contingency going from that family as well. So anyway, no, it's a very good event to go to. Okay, anything else from council? Okay, unfinished business done, motions, and notice of motion. Okay. Councilor Bryson. Okay, do you want to read it and then ask for a seconder? Okay.
Whereas the township flagpole protocol policy provides guidelines for flagging of flags on municipal property, and whereas the existing layout accommodates only 2 flagpoles which display the Canadian flag and either the Ontario flag or flag recognizing a community event or organization. And whereas the lack of a 3rd flagpole limits the township's ability to consistently fly both Canadian and Ontario flags while also celebrating local achievements or recognizing organizations of significance in accordance with the policy. Now therefore be resolved that council directs staff to prepare a report and draft amendment to the flagpole protocol policy that includes an assessment of the estimated cost of installing a 3rd flagpole at the township office location, and the draft policy amended to enable permanently flying of both Canadian and Ontario flags, with the 3rd flagpole being reserved for celebrating a community of achievement, increasing public awareness of township programs and activities, acknowledging organizations that have achieved national or international distinction or made significant contributions to the community, or recognizing organizations that have enhanced the township in a positive manner, and that staff be directed to prepare a report for council consideration at a future meeting.
Okay, can I get a seconder for that? Councillor Demarest? Okay, any questions? Sorry. Just my one question, I think I mentioned this before, and I wondered when it was my idea to bring the second pole in, but the actual idea at the time was to have it a double pole, so that the Ontario flag would always be above and the Canadian flag on the other pole by itself, and then we would have a second flag flying underneath it for any of the community events. And I just wonder if that would be more feasible than putting the second pole, just adding an extra set of clips underneath. So all you do is bring it down, you put the other one on, and the Ontario flag would always, which I think it's supposed to be, always be higher. So if we did bring another pole in for the other, it would have to be a little bit lower. That's why I thought, that was my thoughts right off the hop, was to have a second flag underneath. But I don't know if that's your intention. Go ahead.
Just an option, speaking kind of out loud here. If council would like, we could certainly include some discussion around that option in the report. I think at a high level, the only concern with that is just sort of the flagpole etiquette and the rules. I'm not really that well versed on them, but I know we could do some research on it and provide a good recommendation for council to consider as another option in addition to what Councillor Barnes has made.
I don't know if exactly, I don't know if the etiquette is that you can fly both on the same pole. I've seen several poles with 2 flags on them, so maybe if we find out the financial option. Any other?
Well, it could be financial consideration for both.
Yeah.
Obviously, the pole would be both.
Okay. Anything else? Yes. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, and new business, none? And we'll go into closed session. Long meeting.
Be it hereby resolved that council move into closed session under the authority of section 239 of the Municipal Act at 6:18 p.m. to discuss CAO 2518, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, section 239(2)(f), regarding legal advice regarding enforcement. B, CAO 2519, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, section 239(2)(b), regarding personal matters about an identifiable individual. And C, CAO 2520, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, section 239(2)(b), regarding personal matters about an identifiable individual.
Okay, can I get a mover and second, please? Moved by Councillor Dameron, second by Councillor Young. All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that's carried. We'll just wait to get into close. Does anybody need a half a minute break? Okay? All right, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that council does now adjourn from closed session and resume into open session at 6:59 PM and reports the following. That council provided direction to the CAO regarding reports CAO 2518, CAO 2519, and CAO 2520.
Can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Banbury. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, and bylaws.
Be it hereby resolved that the following bylaws be now read a first and second time. A, 2508-2025 being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1360-2002 as amended for ZN 12503, and B, 2509-2025 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council.
Okay, mover and seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Young. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, right.
Be it hereby resolved that the following bylaws be now read a third and final time. A, 2508-2025, being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 1360-2002 as amended for ZN 12503, and B, 2509-2025, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council.
Okay, mover and seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Banbury. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Anything under other? And adjournment to the next meeting. We're almost at the next meeting.
Whereas business before council has been completed at 7 PM, be it hereby resolved that council does now adjourn to meet again on September 3rd, 2025 at 2 PM.
Just remember, that's a long day that day. We have the strat plan and everything that day, and lunch will be provided as well, right? Okay, mover and seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Barnes, second by Councillor Demers. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried.
We're going to have that meeting next week, right, at the ROEDC
Yes.
on my birthday.
I don't think I was going.
On the 14th.
Yeah. I told, oh, is it? That's a good thing.